So in today's session, we are going to discuss about import sets concept, guys. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about import sets concept. Well, here, guys, you can import the data into ServiceNow. Suppose your client has given you a file to upload the sheet into ServiceNow. Okay, the client has given you a sheet. Okay, to upload that sheet into ServiceNow. As soon as you load that sheet into ServiceNow, import set will be created. That means whenever you import the data, when we import the data into ServiceNow, import set will be created. For every data load, there will be a import set created, guys. For every data load, there will be an import set created. So, first of all, what am I doing is, I am going to the problem table. Okay. So, in the problem table, there are 25 records, right? I am downloading all those 25 records using export Excel sheet. So I am downloading all the problem records. Okay, I have downloaded all the problem record details. Okay, these are the problem details that I downloaded. Okay. Now what am I doing is I am deleting all these problem records. I am deleting all these problem records. Okay. So are there any problem records here, guys? Tell me. Are there any problem records here? There are no problem records in the problem table. Let me open the problem table one more time. So there are no problem records in the problem table. Okay. Now let us imagine client has given you this sheet. Client has given you this sheet to import this problem details into ServiceNow. Okay. Let us imagine client has given you this sheet to import all these details into ServiceNow. Okay. So this sheet is given by the client and he asked you to import this problem details into problem table in ServiceNow. These problem record details into problem table in ServiceNow. Okay. So then what you will do? First of all, you have to go to load data. Go to load data. Okay. Here you have to understand what is this import set table. Okay. You have to attach the file here. You have to provide the sheet number. So first of all, we will be discussing about these things. Okay. I am going to a whiteboard here. Okay. So client has given you this particular sheet, guys. This sheet is this one. So client has given this sheet for you. Okay. That sheet is this one. You have to import this sheet into ServiceNow. You have to import this sheet into ServiceNow. Okay. First of all, first of all, when you import this sheet, you have to import the details into some temporary table. When you import the Excel sheet, in that Excel sheet, how many records are there? Those many records will be stored in a temporary table. Okay. First, we will store it in a temporary table. From the temporary table, we will do validation using transform map. Okay. After that, we will actually move them to the problem table. Suppose, guys, we are going to Chief Minister's office. First, they will actually ask you to wait at the lounge. Okay. So we will have to go through the security process. After all the security process only, we will be allowed to go to the Chief Minister. Okay. First of all, whenever you load the data, you will first load the data into the temporary table. Okay. You will load the data into temporary table. After loading the data into temporary table, you will run the transform map. This transform map will validate the data and it will actually transform the records into target table. Guys, remember, first of all, whenever we import the data, we will not directly import the data into problem table. First, we will store it in a temporary table. We will store it in a temporary table. From the temporary table, we will have to create a transform map. This transform map will transform the details from source table to target table. So you can call this as source table, you can call this as staging table, you can call this as import set table, you can call this as temporary table. Okay. First of all, guys, remember whatever the data, when you are importing into ServiceNow, okay, when you are importing into ServiceNow, first of all, you have to keep them into the temporary table or staging table or import set table or source table. So you will first place those details here. Then you will actually run the transform map. Once the transform map is run, then the details will go and sit into the target table. Is this clear, everyone? Okay. So this is very important, guys. When the data is coming from outside, when the data is coming from outside, okay. So we have to first place them into the temporary table. Then we have to we have to place them into the table. Then we have to run the transform map and we have to place them into the target table. Why do we need to keep them into the temporary table first? Why do we have to import the details into temporary table first? Why can't we directly go to the why can't we directly go to the target table here? So that is because, okay, that is because, Anikar, I am repeating for you. So this is an Excel sheet. So this is an Excel sheet. Client has given you to import this Excel sheet. Okay, client has given you this Excel sheet to import. So then what happens? Whenever we import this sheet, first it will be stored in a temporary table. First it will be stored in a temporary table. After storing the data into temporary table, we will run the transform map. This transform map will validate the data and then it will transform the details into target table. Suppose, guys, suppose if 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 this temporary table and transform map is not there, so if you directly import the data into target table, there is a chance that there can be dummy data, there can be some duplicate records, there can be some invalid records. So data will be corrupted if you directly allow them to import the data into target table. So that is why we don't allow them to directly import the data into target table. Anikar, you understand? Hmm? So if you allow them to directly place into the target table, the data will be corrupted. So that is why what we will do, whatever the data that is coming into service now, first you will place them into the temporary table or staging table or import set table. Then you will run the transform app and you will actually you will transform the data into target table. Now, what am I doing is, I am going to load data under system import sets, go to the load data. Okay. What am I doing is, I'm actually creating a temporary table here. From here, I'm creating a temporary table. Problem, temporary problem. So what am I doing is, I'm actually importing the sheet, Excel sheet. I'm importing the Excel sheet here. So in the Excel sheet, this is sheet number one, header number one. Sheet number one, header number one. If the header is in the second row, if the header is in the second row, this is actually called header. If the header is in the second row, that means you have to choose second row here. So if you see here, sheet number one, header row one. Do you understand what is the sheet number and what is header row? Everyone. Let us say this Excel sheet has multiple sheets. So in this Excel sheet, you want to import third sheet. This is first sheet, right? In this Excel sheet, you have three sheets. Okay, you want to import third sheet, then you will mention three here. You will mention three here, sheet number three. Hope you understand, everyone. Okay. So now what am I doing is, I am submitting this one. Once I submit this one, okay. So first of all, import sets. Go to import sets. Import set is created. This is the import set that is created, guys. Okay. This is the import set that is created. Short description. Type is file. Format is Excel sheet. State is loaded. And what is the temporary table? Temp problem table. What is the data source here? And create a time. Load completed this time. So this is actually an import set. So every time when you load the data, this import set will be created. Okay. Every time when you load the data, this import set will be created. Okay. So this is called temporary table. This temporary table we created. So when we are loading the data, we created a temporary table, right? So the temporary table is nothing but this one, this temporary table. So what is the difference between normal table and temporary tables? Let me just go to the tables. This is also this is temporary table that we created just a while ago. So the table which are extending import set row, tables are called temporary tables. The tables which are extending import set row table are called temporary tables. The tables which are extending import set row table are called temporary tables. Now we will see these many tables are extending these many tables are extending import set row table. There are 13 tables which are extending import set row table. So these tables are called temporary tables. So here in the temporary tables, data will be stored only for 7 days. Data will be stored only for 7 days. After 7 days, the data will be automatically deleted from the table. Remember this point, guys. The tables which are extending import set row table are called temporary tables. In the temporary tables, data will be stored temporarily. So I am going to the group table. Group is a temporary table. Let me just click on show list. Do you see any data here? I imported the data, but the data is deleted. Okay. In the temporary table, data will be stored. Data will be stored only for 7 days. Okay. How many days data will you can see the table is meant to be used temporarily and is purpose to hold the data before it get transformed to the target tables. Since the data is temporary, the ServiceNow platform clears any content in the older than 7 days. Okay, getting my point, right? Okay. So the data will be stored only for 7 days. Okay. So what happens? Well, you imported the data into ServiceNow. Import set is created. Okay. Import set is created. So next, what happens? In the temporary table, the data will be loaded. This is called a temporary table. Okay. You go to the tables. Where is our temporary table? If you go to the table and click on show list here, if you click on show list here, okay, you can see the problem number, problem statement, related records, resolution code. So all the details are actually stored here. Let me see here. Row number 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the Excel sheet, how many records are there? How many numbers are there? So in the Excel sheet, how many rows are here? Okay. There are actually 25 rows, right? 25 rows. So here you can see 25 rows are actually added. Okay, 25 rows are added here. The details are stored in the temporary table or not. You can see assignment group, assigned to, configuration item, number, problem statement, related records, resolution code, state. Okay. So all these are actually Excel sheet data. Excel sheet data. So what happened when we imported this data, when we imported this Excel file, what has happened? First, it has created an import set, which is actually this one. And then after that, once the import set is created, the data is stored in the temporary table. The data is stored in the temporary table. This one and that one, both are same. Okay. So this is u underscore temp underscore problem table. This one is also same. U underscore temp underscore problem table. So this data is stored in the temporary table. Okay. After that, so we have to create a transform map. Okay. So we have to create a transform map. That transform map is this one. This transform map is between temporary table and a target table. So now in this case, what is temporary table and what is target table, guys? You tell me. What is temporary table? What is target table here? Hmm. So Neeru, very good answer. Anil, very good answer. Temp problem is then Dikshit, very good answer. Priya, temp table is where initially data will get stored. You are right, Priya. Rahul, temporary table is a data will be stored. First data will be stored temporary table. Okay. Okay. So temporary table, source table, import set table. Okay, we all call it as same. Temporary table, staging table, import set table, source table, all are same. Here in this case, the temporary table is this one, temp problems table. Temp problems table. So in this table, we stored the data. Okay. So what is target table? Target table is actually a problem table. So our problem table is there, right? That problem is actually the target table. That problem is actually the target table. Okay. So this is a temporary table. This is the target table. So whenever we loaded the Excel sheet, the data is stored in the temporary table, but we have to move the data to target table here. This is the target table. Actual problem table is the target table here. Okay. Now what am I doing is I am going to create this transform map between temporary table and target table. I am going to create a transform map between temporary table and target table. So I am going here, clicking on create transform map here. Okay. Problem data load. This is the temporary table. This is the target table. Between this temporary table and target table, we created a transform map. We created a transform map, guys. Okay. Between the temporary table and target table, we created a transform map. So we will come to these checkboxes later, guys. We will come to these checkboxes like run business rules, enforce mandatory fields, copy empty fields, create new record on empty queries fields. Okay. So here what we will do is we have actually created a transform app. We'll discuss about these checkboxes later. Okay. Now, if you scroll down, you can see auto map matching fields. So what you have to do is you have to map temporary table fields with the target table fields. Temporary table number, target table number field. Temporary table short description, target table short description. Temporary table description, target table description. Temporary table configuration item, target table configuration item. That is how you have to do the field mapping between temporary table and the target table. Okay. So now what am I doing is, so I can do the field mapping manually as well. I can do the field mapping manually as well. I am doing a field mapping here. Okay. Source field is short description. Okay. That means problem statement. Problem statement means short description. So, okay. So problem statement is actually the one we have actually from the source table problem statement field. I mapped with the target table problem statement field. Okay. So I have done the field mapping. So likewise, you have to do the field mapping for every field. Okay. You have to do the field mapping for every field. So you can, what you can do is you can use auto map matching field option here. What happens when you use auto map matching field option? What happens when I use auto map matching field option? Remember this point, guys. Okay. This is actually a problem. This is actually a target table. This is a target table. Okay. So this is an Excel sheet. Okay. So remember this point. This this row name. Okay. So this particular column name, this column name, both are matching. So label here. This is a label, number label and this label, both are matching. Problem statement, both are matching. Okay. If the state field, state name and state name both are matching. Resolution code and resolution code both are matching. If the uh, if the column label and field label, if the column Excel sheet column label and target table field label both are matching. Okay. Remember this point, guys. If the Excel sheet column label, ServiceNow target table field label both are matching. If both are matching, okay, mapping will be happening automatically. Mapping will be happening automatically. Now, what am I doing is I am going to transform map that I created. Where is the transform map? Yeah. So in the transform map, I am using auto map matching fields. Auto map matching fields. So field maps created automatically. If you scroll down here, see ServiceNow configuration item is associated with the problem record configuration item. Excel sheet configuration item is associated with the problem configuration item. Problem assignment, Excel sheet assignment is associated with the problem assigned to. Excel sheet resolution code is associated with the problem resolution code. Excel sheet assignment group is mapped with the problem assignment group. Excel sheet problem statement is associated to um, problem short description, and the Excel sheet state is mapped to problem state. Excel sheet related records is mapped to problem record related records. Excel sheet number is mapped to problem record number. So that is how you do the field mapping. Do you understand, guys? So how did this field mapping happen? Everyone. So compare source column labels, names, labels, source column labels and a target column labels. You can say configuration item, u underscore configuration. These are names, field names, right? These are field names, right? So that is why label should match. If the labels are matching, the source column label is matching with the target table field label, then the mapping will happen automatically using automap matching fields. Using automap matching field. Suppose here the source column labels are not matching. Source column labels are not matching with the target table column labels. Source table labels are not matching. Okay. Source table, okay. Source column labels are not matching with the target table field label. Then what we have to do is we have to use mapping assist here. You can map the fields manually. Okay. Okay. So likewise, you can map the fields manually, guys. If the column labels, source column labels, and the target table field labels both are not matching, you can use mapping assist to map the fields. You understand my point? Hmm? Guys, getting my point? So day by day, you are getting lazy, guys. From source, which label to which we need to add which field in the target table. So we should be aware. Client will tell you this field should be mapped to this particular field, something like that. Okay. So that and all, that field mapping and all, you have to get clarity from your client. Okay. So which field should be mapped to which field and all, you have to get clarity from the management. Okay. So once you get the clarity, you will actually map those fields. Yes. Yes, Sai Sharan. So we can do auto map, then we can adjust for rest of the fields. We can map rest of the fields, which are actually which column labels and field labels are not matching. We can do the manual mapping assist here. Okay. Fine. Now what I have done here, now what I have done, first of all, I have created a temporary table and I created a transform map. Okay. I created a transform map between this temporary table and this particular target table. So what happens is that first of all, when you load the data into temporary table, you will run the transform map. The data will be transformed to target table. So now what am I doing is I'm going to load data. I'm going to load data. Here I'm choosing existing table. Existing table is temporary problem table. So this is the temporary table that we have, right? And you choose the Excel sheet here. click on submit. So then what happens? First, it will create an import set. The data will be loaded into the temporary table. You can see here, the data is loaded into the temporary table. Okay. So what is our import set? We'll open our import set. Based on the import set number, we can actually filter it out. Okay. This import set number. So these 25 records are loaded now. Okay. These 25 records are loaded now. Okay. So first of all, you loaded the data, and it is actually created an import set. It has loaded the data into the temporary table. So here we already created a transform map, right? I will choose run transform here. I'm clicking on run transform here. So once I click on run transform map, this is the transform map that we created. So you can just click on, okay, you can just click on transform here. So once you transform the data, okay, you can go to the transform history here. You can go to the transform history. So what is it telling? Completed with errors. Completed with errors. So what is it telling? Total number of records you imported is 25. So how many inserts? 15 are created. 15 are created. 10 are errors. So for that, what we will do is to check that we will go to the import set. So we'll go to the import set. This is the import set, right? So you go to this import set. You can see import set rows. So to total, how many inserted here? How many errors? What are the errors? Data policy errors. So when our data policy will work from all the sources is what I told you, right? Data policy will work from all the sources I told you, right? So there is a data policy. The data policy is working from this particular import set. Okay, what is the error? The following fields are mandatory. So cause nodes and fix nodes. As those fields are missing, it did not actually allow you to create the record. Okay, the following fields are mandatory. Cause nodes and all are data policy errors. You can see there are 10 errors which are actually data policy errors. Okay. So when we imported the data, okay, 15 records are inserted. You can see total 15 records are inserted. 15 records are inserted, guys. Okay. Remaining 10 records have errors because there are some mandatory fields. There are some mandatory fields missing. As there are some mandatory fields missing, the data policy is not allowing them to transform the data into target table. Okay. Now we'll go to the problem table. In the problem table, how many rows are transformed or not, we'll see here. So now you see here, there are 15 rows that are transformed from the Excel sheet to target table. Is that clear, guys? Okay. Now what am I doing is, I am going to do second load data. I am going to do second load data. Load data. I am going to load the data, same data again. Okay. So we'll go to the transform history and we will see complete with errors. 15 are 15 are created and 10 have errors. 10 have errors. So we'll go to the import set here. In the import set, you can see data policy exceptions. Now you go to the target table here. You go to the target table here. So how many records are there? 30 records are there. So here with the 7601, there are two records. With the 002, there are two records. With the 001, there are two records. So duplicate records are created, right? Duplicate records are created or not? The duplicate records are created or not, guys? You tell me. Okay. So if I import the data again, if I import the third time again, go to transform history. So it says 15 records are created, 10 records have errors, 10 records have errors. We'll go to the problem table. Now you can see total 45 records are there. So with the same number, there are three records. It is creating the duplicate records or not? It is creating the duplicate records or not, guys? Tell me. Duplicate records are getting created. So here, no duplicate record should be created. No duplicate record should be created. Now what am I doing is, I am deleting all the records. Okay. So there are no records. Okay. For every time when we are importing, what is it doing? It is creating the duplicate records. So I want to avoid the duplicate records. To avoid the duplicate records in the transform map, okay, there is this transform map. Okay. Here you, okay, this is the transform map. So in the transform map, okay. So how are we identifying? How are we identifying that is a duplicate record or not? You tell me, guys. How are we identifying that is a duplicate record? Using number, using number, we are able to identify there is a problem record or not. Now what I do is I will make the number as quail is true here. I will make the number as quail is true here. What happens if I make the number as quail is true? If the quail is true, what happens is that this transform map from the source table, if a number is coming, if that number is not already there in the service now or not, it will check. From the source, if the problem number is coming, if that number is already there in the service now or not, it will check. If the number is already there, if the number is already there, okay. If the number is already there, it will update the record. If the number is not there in service now, it will create the record. If the number is already there in service now, it will update the record. If the number is not there in service now, it will create the record. So Queries will avoid the duplicate records creation. Okay. So now what am I doing is I have made this number as Queries, right? I'm going to load the data again. So 15 records inserted. Go to the problem table and check 15 records are created or not. Okay. So 15 records are there. Now what am I doing is, I am going to change the short description here. Okay. I have saved this data now. So now I am actually importing this data again. As these numbers are already there in ServiceNow, right? So as these numbers are already there in ServiceNow, so this particular number, let us take 601. 601 is there in ServiceNow number or not? So as this number is there, this number will this record will be updated. It won't create a new record with the same number. I'm going to load data again. Okay. Run transform history. So no record created. You can see 0 records created. 25 records errors. 25 records errors. What is the error and all we'll see. Go to the import set. Maybe all are data policy exceptions only. Invalid state transaction couldn't update state SS2 state new with the given values. Okay. Data policy exception. So invalid state transaction. Okay. It says invalid state transaction. It says invalid state transaction couldn't update the. So here, because of the coil is, we'll discuss about these errors separately. So because of this coil is, it did not create the duplicate records. First of all, because of this coil is, it did not create any duplicate records when we loaded the data. Do you see? This is target table. So is there any, are there any duplicate records created, guys, now when we import the data in second time? Hmm? So we will have to, okay. So we'll have to understand the transform map concept in detail, guys. Transform map we have just started discussing. So there is a lot of stuff to discuss in the transform maps, guys. Okay, we just begin with the transform map. Okay. Any questions, guys?
Yeah, Uday, here one small doubt. Maybe in future you have discussed about this one. We have the something assignment group, right? I mean, if you are taking, I am transforming the incident Excel sheet. Actually, in the target source PDI, I have added one user on my name. Hello.
I can hear you.
Yeah. but I am importing the data to the another PDI, so target PDI, then that user is not exist, right?
Yeah, that will be discussing because that comes under choice action, create, ignore, reject.
Okay, okay, then if that
Yeah.
is in future topic, it's good.
Yeah, maybe we'll be discussing tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll connect, guys. We'll join the sessions.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Tomorrow we have a session, guys. We'll join in tomorrow's session. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.